Ben Whaley, agronomist for Eastern Iowa and Golden Harvest. I'm out here at the Slater Research Facility. We are at a trap crop plot for Duracade, Durastack, and different competitive checks, trying to figure out what kind of trait has the best efficacy for corn rootworm beetles. And we're going to walk you through the different products we have here and what we're trying to find out and learn and from the different roots and what we have for visuals here. I'm also with Adam Mayer, a Golden Harvest agronomist in Northeast Iowa.
How's it going? We're out here evaluating some rootworms, and right now we're looking at how many larvae that we have per plant. The easiest one to do that on is our Czech hybrid that has no trait and no insecticide, no treatment at all. And we're a little late to the party when we're trying to see how many larvae we have per plant, as we have some beetle emergence. But we did some floating here, so it's always nice to grab a chunk of root but also keep that dirt along with it, and we throw it in a 5-gallon pail and kind of wash it around, and we will float the larvae if there are some larvae, or in this case we're a little further along in that process. We'll have 3 instars before we pupate, and we found at least 2 pupa that will take about up to 5 days to emerge as they're in the pupal stage. A lot of times those instars 1 through 3 will take about a week each instar, so that's a decent amount of time to do some feeding. And we can see there was some definite feeding that led to some lodging. Here's another example of what we found in this plot, and you can see some pretty significant damage, but we also have pretty nice regrowth. Kind of get that bottle brushing look after the feeding, which is good to see. And there's some hybrid differences when we have that regrowth, that some hybrids are more tolerant to feeding and what we're going to see for yield impacts and standability later in the season. But we can tell from what we see here that there was pretty significant pressure out here. One of the other telltales that we have some pressure is when you get this kind of scraping off of the top of the leaf. That's when the beetles first emerge. They like to find a food source, and they do this kind of scraping to window painting. So when you see that on the lower leaves, that's a pretty good indication when I go into the field that I'm going to see some pretty good rootworm pressure there. And we definitely have beetles flying around here. Did some silk clipping, but it's nice because we are seeing some differences in our trait platforms and how they're performing here as well.
Yeah, so in this we have, like I said, untreated Czech, and then we also have a Duracade, Durastack, which is our new trait stack for Golden Harvest hybrids, and then we also have our new laydown insecticide Opello laid beside a couple of these hybrids as well. So we'll go through and check out the roots and what kind of differences there are. So we're at the comparisons here. Right now we have no trait, no insecticide, traded with our new Durastack trait, a Opello with no trait, no CRW trait, and then we have our new Durastack trait with Opello insecticide. So if we come back over here, we looked at this earlier. Obvious feeding, you can see that the roots are more or less gone here. You got some bottle brushing going on. Then you come over here to just trait. We can see just a much more comprehensive root structure. Obviously there is some compaction layer there, kind of a little pancake root, but overall very good efficacy from the trait, especially from how much pressure we had from the no traded. So there's obviously extensive pressure in this field as well. If we come over here to just Opello, no trait, and we compare this to that, so that would be traded with no Opello. So this is looking at just what the Opello is doing, and pretty obvious results that Opello is having a benefit to what we got going on here and what the root growth is. Obviously still some feeding. We can see some bottle brushing going on, but nothing like the no traded, no Opello. So there is a benefit to Opello. And then moving down here, we got Durastack and Opello. So we got the full comprehensive package here, about everything we can do right now with late products and technology to combat corn rootworm pressure. And very nice root structure. Maybe not quite what that is, but I think that's more of a field effect as well. It just depends on where you're at in the field and kind of what we dug, but you can definitely see a difference in what's going on with the Durastack and Opello. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this definitely goes with what we're saying, that the best situation would be a layered approach, or at least kind of rotating. Soil applied insecticide a lot of times is very effective and there's no resistance to it, but we know that it works where it is. So it's about that application and how much rainfall and the environment plays into it. So you can a lot of times tell exactly where that zone of protection was with soil applied insecticide. And so that's where sometimes the combination with the trait, which the trait's being expressed through all of the roots, right. But they still do need to feed to die to some degree, so that that's where the insecticide can help with that early season pressure as well. So, yep.
And with our Durastack trait being total BT, we have protection early and late season. So once they eat it, they stop eating it, and then they eventually die. Nothing like some of the competitors where they have to take it in and then they can keep feeding as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the mechanisms we can use for rescue at this point?
Yeah, there's not a lot that we can do from a root standpoint at this point. That Opello does have a lay-by label, but you're not going to have any effect at this point with that. That'd be more up to a V5 type time frame would be all we'd use that for. At this point, it's really watching for that silk feeding and how much beetle emergence, and then trying to control that adult population to some degree, but that's probably a losing battle if we're already behind the 8 ball as far as that pressure goes in that field. So you're really protecting the yield that you have there today with that ear feeding and silk feeding, and then hopefully reducing some populations for the future, but there's definitely no guarantee with that mechanism either.
Yeah, and right now if we're spraying for beetles, it's really for next year, and we want to make it on that full hatch when we spray that, so it's very time dependent.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you want a lot of times when right now we're at almost brown silk with what we're at here, so we've gotten through that pollination process, but we're not at peak emergence yet. We did see some pupa there, so we have more beetles that will emerge, and that window sometimes is pretty long. That multiple applications of insecticide might be warranted if we're really trying to control that adult beetle population.
I think bottom line what we're getting at is a layered approach is best. We don't want to wait till the end. Obviously we got to make plans moving forward. If we see pressure one year, we got to make plans for the next year, especially with corn on corn and extended diapause as well. There's things we can do for the next year, even after rotation, if we have some pressure. But look into traded corn, make plans for upcoming years. We obviously have Opello for lay-by or in furrow. There's also insecticide we can use as well, but corn on corn is a ever-changing game that we got to really look into and make plans for.
Yep, it's always about a proactive approach with this thing, and it's really hard to come back once you have pressure. So prevention is definitely your key with corn rootworm.
All right, well, keep up the good work and keep scouting.